Hey, this is Mark A. Altman.
And this is Darren Doctorman,
And this is Ashley Miller.
and we are the Inglorious Treksperts.
Treksperts.
Treksperts. Good job, team.
You know what we should do? We should get a conductor. We could get
We
John
should.
Williams, and he just have a little baton, and then we just follow. Because I think there were too many notes. Too many notes.
Too many
I think we
notes, so they
started
are.
at the same time, but we didn't finish at the
Well,
same
the
time.
sad part is
Yeah.
on Zoom, you can't really time something together because you don't know when they are hearing your voice or seeing your
true.
movements. So there's no way.
It's not possible. No way.
I don't
Oh,
know.
wait.
I don't know. For 5 seasons, we did it fine, and it just seems like in the last year we can't get it right.
Well, with an attitude like that, of course we're not going to get it.
That's right. I'm just telling it like
You're
it is.
defeatist.
That's my job on this show. Tell it like it is. And speaking of telling it like it is, I think this is one of the most important episodes of Trekspert you'll ever listen to, because this is the episode where we talk definitively about whether or not Chicago or New York pizza is better. And
New
this
York
is a
pizza.
very important conversation that is being had because, of course, we welcome to the stage at GalaxyCon our good friend and star of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Denise Crosby. And this was really interesting because, of course, we'd interviewed Denise a couple of times, and we were sort of thinking to ourselves, how can we make this different?
Yeah.
Because we don't like to repeat ourselves, particularly because we use these interviews on the podcast, and nobody wants to hear the same interview again, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Although we could test her to see if she answers the questions differently.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. It came up. Darren, we were in the green room, and
We were in the
saying,
green
"Oh, it's
room,
so
and
early."
we were saying how much we were looking forward to doing the panel with her the following day. And she said, "What time is it?" We said it was, at
It's
10
time for lunch. Oh,
10
sorry.
o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning.
Bubble
And
guppies.
she says, "Oh boy, I'm going to be really hungry by then." Uh, and for some reason, we said, "Well, can we bring you some food or something?"
Yeah, she
And
said a pizza, right?
yeah,
And then we started talking and thinking, "Oh, this is a good fast time." This is when she left. Yeah,
yeah,
but she was just saying it offhandedly. She didn't expect it.
yeah.
But then we're thinking this is.
Nobody expects to be brought a pizza.
And then we're thinking we're fans of Fast Time, and Ray Walston was in Star Trek. He
Right.
played Boothby, and he was in Fast Times as Mr. Hand. So this could be a Fast Time Star Trek crossover if we do the same thing Spicoli did and have pizza delivered to the stage. in
Did
the
you
middle
bring
of the
enough for everyone, Lieutenant Yar?
panel. It's a new Star Trek villain, Pizza Face.
Oh, Mr.
And
Hand.
so we were lucky enough, thanks to Uber Eats, we were able to work with our good our VP of social media, the great John Carney, who was at the convention,
Yeah, he was
and
extremely helpful in making this happen.
handling the logistics of arranging for the pizza. And we're about 10-15 minutes into the panel. By the way, we decided we're going to really focus on, this was Darren's idea, really good idea, on the documentary Trekkies. We talked about it with her before, but this was going to really focus on her producing and hosting of the motion picture Trekkies.
Right.
And then John comes in as the pizza man. And it sounds like a porno. And John comes in
I don't have a pool.
and he says, I got a pizza for Miss Crosby. And she is just dying. And he brings the pizza on stage, margarita pizza. And she is just, you'll hear it when you listen, how she's just so tickled.
Yeah.
And then she starts to eat it. And it happened to be a really good pizza. She loved the pizza. And then we got into a whole conversation about the best pizza. Chicago, New York, what places in New York, what places in Chicago. And it was great because I can guarantee you in the history of Star Trek conventions, no one has ever had that conversation before.
Probably
unique
not.
experience.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we came to the conclusion, because Darren, you must be a Chicago boy, because you lived in Chicago. You must like Chicago, prefer Chicago, right?
I I don't necessarily prefer it, but I do love it. I mean, Chicago stuffed pizza is famous throughout the world, and places like Uno and Lou Malnati's they send it all over the world.
The
And
Illuminati, I knew they were behind
not
it.
the Illuminati.
Illuminati stuffed
Lou,
pizza.
Lou Malnati not the Illuminati.
They're
Illuminati pizza is a
often
little different.
confused.
It's
They get each
triangle
other's
shaped.
mail all the time. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
But I love thin crust actually. That's my
Huh.
favorite kind.
See, it's funny because I love both. Because I love the deep dish. Like I love the what Geno's East, like the classic Chicago. But obviously I love New York pizza. It really depends on my mood because the deep dish is like a dessert. It's like a very heavy meal. Like you really got to
Your
be
cheese tolerance has to be up there.
Yeah, you really have to like maybe not have eaten all day and not plan on eating
Right.
for the next
Ever
week.
again?
Yeah. But whereas the New York pizza is more like, okay. Plus I think the New York pizza, because you can just, grab it on the go or, you fold it or you can put virtually any topping on
And
it.
you've got to keep folding it, and then it becomes folded. And
But do you have a favorite New York
Tesseract.
pizza? Like, because I think we talked about this. It used to be everybody said Ray's original pizza, which no, it was never Ray's original. It was never that great. Ray, even if you could figure out which one was the real one. I really like John's original pizza in the church in Times Square. I think that's a hell of a good pizza.
pizza in the church. Well, see, I haven't been to New York since
Yeah.
at least 15 years ago. So I don't know the ins and outs of New York pizza
Yeah.
like I used to.
Girl,
Why is
same.
New York Comic Con not having us? Reed Pop, you should have us so we can do a whole panel on New York pizza.
That's
Yeah.
right. We do the pizza panel. We'll just have various Star Trek actors come up and
we
talk about their
we
favorite
need to
pizza.
bring in Merv Block so he'll bring his recording of Orson Welles.
Oh my God, I really would love to do a panel with Merv.
Yeah.
We got to talk to Merv about maybe next year if we do creation again. If we do Star Trek LV, then maybe we get Merv Block out to do a panel on marketing Star Trek.
I
Maybe
think
him
that
and
would
Eddie.
be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, please make a note of it.
He's making
Remind us.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite New York pizza, Ashley? You're not really in New York. You don't really know anything about New York.
I don't know.
Have you ever
anything
been
about
to New York?
Of course I have. I've been there several times. I just don't know. I couldn't tell you like, okay, what specific New York pizza is the best. But in terms of like my favorite style of pizza, definitely New York pizza. I just think there is and as much as my cheese tolerance is incredibly high, I mean, it is Wallace and Gromit high. Okay. But I love New York pizza. I think it's exactly the right texture, I think, is the deal with it.
Here's the thing that's crazy is I'm in the process of going gluten free, but I just don't, the thought of not eating pizza, because I don't eat as much pizza as I used to. I don't eat it that often, but still
I can get you all the free gluten you want.
Not eating pizza, it's just like it's terrifying to me because I do really like occasionally. It's interesting because I don't crave pizza, but then every couple of months I get that craving where I really want a pizza,
Well, one good representation of New York pizza in Los Angeles is, of course, Kathy Moriarty's Mulberry Street pizza,
which is good.
And to think
the
that it
Valley.
happened on Mulberry
It's pretty
Street.
darn good. Yeah.
Big man on Mulberry Street, like Billy Joel once said. You remember that in Moonlighting? They Big Man on Mulberry Street. They used that song. You don't remember at all.
No.
And I never watched Moonlighting, Mark. I'm sorry.
Really?
How did you get through that whole Scott Ryan episode where we talked about Moonlighting?
I'm a professional, Mark. I can get through anything.
He's a professional. He's a professional. Oh my God. Okay. Well, listen. This is a great conversation. A really great idea from Darren to talk to Denise about Trekkies. Obviously, we talk about some other things, and then the audience, they're responsible for their own questions. I'm not going to take credit for any of that. They ask what they ask, and that's what it is.
All right, bring out the Sayla questions.
Yeah. No, remember this is the one like, how come when you fire a phaser, you don't disintegrate people? Like, why would you just, because then they wouldn't wake up and be a threat to you? Wouldn't you want to just disintegrate them? Like, I think this was the one where she gets asked that.
I think so, yeah.
And you never want to be the guy to say, it's not real because it's real to us, but it's not real. It's not real. I'm sorry.
It's made up.
It's called drama, and it's like if she
thing
just
they
went
did in
around
Lark.
disintegrating people, it wouldn't be a very good show,
It would
right?
be much shorter episodes.
Everybody would just be
sure.
gone because they'd all be getting disintegrated. Can
Yeah.
you think of how many times our cast got phasered? But if they had been disintegrated, they'd be done. They'd be gone.
Did somebody fire a phaser in here?
Yeah, I mean that's another thing. It's like with the incriminating gravity boots. The two assassins, if they had been disintegrated, they wouldn't even be in the hallway.
Yeah. Or if they just
Yeah.
transported the boots off the ship.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know.
Right. That would have been really like simple to do. Okay.
Oh well,
okay.
this isn't a bash Trek 6.
I'm the
episode.
first person to say that the mystery plot, in Star Trek 6 doesn't hold much water. But the funny thing is like the irony of that is that Nick Meyer has written all these great Sherlock Holmes
Yeah.
books, and yet the mystery plot in Star Trek 6 is the worst thing
weakest
about it.
part. Yeah.
I think that was probably Denny Martin Flynn more than it was
Probably.
Nick.
Yeah.
Because
It's
the
like he could
funny
have cut all that and it still would have worked.
the sad thing was because Nick couldn't write Star Trek 6 by himself because he was finishing another movie. And he came to Star Trek 6 late.
Right.
And it's kind of funny because, of course, now everybody remembers Star Trek 6 and nobody remembers the movie. I don't even remember the movie he was working on at the time. I wonder if he knew that, knowing in retrospect that Time would only care about Star Trek 6 and that the other movie would be completely overlooked and nobody cares, if he would have not worked on that movie so that he could have spent more time on Star Trek 6.
I wonder if he knew that Time would be the fire in which he burned.
It's a predator and it's stalking you.
And it has teeth.
It has teeth.
It has teeth.
Crazy time. It's mean.
Well, the good thing is that the pizza we delivered did not have black goo on it
Or teeth.
To remind Denise of her traumatic time on The Next Generation.
See, next time we should get somebody cosplaying as Armis to come
my
to the
God.
panel.
Yeah, just
Can you imagine?
someone wrapped up in garbage bags.
Oh my God!
So
and
like they're
hefty.
from Jersey.
Yeah, that's what it should. That's what it should be. Okay, well, listen. This is a really fun panel with. And we have a lot of fun with Denise. So hopefully, you're. Well, don't order Domino's and Papa John's. Just get something good. And we had a delicious margarita. So make sure you have a pizza in hand when you listen to this episode. Unless you're in the car, don't eat the pizza, but only if you're at home. So and let us know what your favorite pizza is. I'd like to know. I'm curious.
Mark would like to know.
I would like to know. I want to know what people's
Share
favorite
it with
pizzas
us.
are. Because remember in Vegas,
Same strength.
remember
Marcel.
not
I've
this year.
forgotten
Last year I got picked up at the airport, and the woman started telling me how Little Caesars, I think it was her favorite pizza.
Wow.
And I'm like, are you
Wow.
on? I literally said to her, "Are you on glue? Like, what's your problem?" And
I'm not
like,
against Little Caesars, but I wouldn't put it in the top 5.
Well, but that's what I'm
No.
saying. I'm saying, and she was could not believe that I would be so irate. And I was just like, no, listen, it's fine. Like a lot of those chain pizzas, they're fine. They're adequate in a pinch, right?
Yeah.
But you're saying you live in Vegas and you're saying that's your favorite pizza. This chain processed crappy. I said, there's so many good pizza places, in Vegas. How could that be your favorite pizza? And she just could not understand how I could not appreciate Little Caesars as the
Look,
best.
people are people,
pizza.
and they all believe different things. And Mark Iddick.
That's right.
I told her, I said, listen, I do a podcast, Inglorious Pizza Spurts, and we have
boy.
never
That
ever.
sounds bad. That
It
sounds
does.
like a bad
Sounds-
thing.
Sounds like bad pizza and a bad podcast. Just
Well, that's why it has no listeners.
Oh.
okay.
Today's episode: toppings.
yeah, exactly.
We interview
should-
pepperoni.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my God, and it's pineapple pizza.
Today we
worst.
go through the 50 best pepperonis across the
kind-
world.
What kind of a sick mind came up with the idea to put pineapple on pizza? And
The
what's
Hawaiian.
worse is, what kind of sick mind would eat a pineapple pizza?
A
Dude,
Hawaiian.
I love pineapple pizza.
Of course you
I
do.
absolutely love it. What do you mean? Of course I do. What kind of attitude is that? Infinite
Is it-
diversity, Mark.
Is that what
Infinite
you?
combination.
What did you have? Because we took the staff out in Star Trek Las Vegas to Giordano's, right? The
Yeah.
pizza place in
Yeah.
in Vegas. No Little Caesars, but we took them to Giordano's.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. Do you remember what you got?
I think we had pepperoni.
You had pepperoni.
Yeah, stuffed crust.
It was a lot. It was a lot better than House of Pizza in San Jose. That's for
Well,
sure.
you know, luckily I missed that because I wasn't feeling well, but and I would have been feeling even worse after House of Pizza,
Oh,
apparently.
totally. And Ashley, at least he's keto, so he didn't eat any
Yeah.
of that crap.
Right.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, when I once upon a time ate pizza, I mean, I was definitely just a very simple pepperoni guy. Just why load it down with a lot of extra crap?
Now, Ash, I know you're keto. What do you eat when you're down in Ecuador in keto?
Nothing. I
I
eat
nothing.
nothing.
Okay,
I
well, listen.
see nothing.
I think it's time to join Denise Crosby on stage along with her margarita pizza after these brief commercial messages, and then we'll be back after the interview with Denise with a few closing thoughts. Stay tuned. Sunday in San Jose. Everybody's up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready for some exciting entertainment. I'm Mark A. Altman, showrunner of Pandora, writer for The Librarians, Castle, and co-host of Inglorious Treksperts, the great Star Trek podcast, with my co-host, associate producer of the Star Trek The Motion Picture Director's Edition, DAREN DOCHTERMAN.
Good morning.
We hope we'll see all of you tonight as we do live running commentary with Bill Shatner on Star Trek V. That's going to be one for the ages. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight, so definitely join us for that. Don't go home. You got work early tomorrow. It'll be worth staying and being tired at work tomorrow.
The first time it's happened and the last time it will happen.
Probably, because it's the 35th anniversary and we wanted to do something really special. And speaking of something really special, we're so thrilled to introduce, you know her, of course, from Models Inc. No, you know her, of course, from such shows as The Walking Dead, Suits, and of course, Star Trek The Next Generation. It's Denise Crosby. Welcome, Denise.
What an introduction. That's what I pay you the big
Models,
money
Inc.
for. Models Inc. No way.
You're going to fight Terry Farrell over what was better, Models Inc. or Paper Dolls?
Oh, Models Inc. for sure, man. I can take her. I can take that Terry Farrell. God, who would, somebody brought, oh, I know. Okay. So earlier this year, I was in Las Vegas for a horror convention. I have to really enunciate there. You know, it's Vegas, baby. At a horror convention and with a bunch of my pet cemetery pals.
Oh, here we go. I think it's our delivery has arrived. Fantastic. Thank you. Wait, hold on. Here you go.
You guys,
Fine, hold on.
favorite food group. Right? I cannot believe you did this.
Ask and ye shall receive.
You're paying for this?
Well, I got to give him a tip.
Oh, you guys, you don't mind if I eat pizza
No, because
while it's warm?
nobody wants cold pizza.
People-
College kids do. And a margarita.
Yeah. People pay extra to watch you eat pizza at your booth.
Oh my God, you guys. You want one?
No, I'm good because
That's for you.
Pizza at 11 before 11:30.
Nice.
this opens up a whole new bunch of questions.
I love you guys. Anyway, back to Vegas and the horror convention. I need some wine or something, right?
Garcon!
So I'm having drinks with Greg Nicotero, the exec producer of The Walking Dead. Wait, I need my mic. His wife. And we're talking, and I've met his wife before, Sherry, and she's going, I know you, I mean, obviously I know you, but there's something missing here. And she goes back to her room later that night and like looks at my IMDb, and she went, Models Inc. I was like the third AD on Models Inc. So that's wow. Models Inc. came up earlier in the year.
The Nicotero family is a huge fan of Models Inc. apparently. I got to ask you, since you're eating the pizza, this is a very important question. New York pizza, Chicago pizza. Which is it? Not this. Which is your preference?
Oh, baby, this is so good.
San Jose pizza, apparently.
New York.
New York.
Yeah, I like the thin, Neapolitan. This is really good. Where'd you get this?
From the really good pizza place.
This is the really good pizza place. Yeah.
What's your favorite New York pizza place?
Well, I was just. Oh my God, how am I going to do this? I was just in New York. So I like grab a slice and walk. Yeah, like on Bleecker Street Pizza. I like, a slice. I'm not a big sit down and eat. I think John's
In
is
Times Square.
Yeah, might be. Well, John's on Bleecker.
Oh, John's on Bleecker.
Is the original. I don't know. I like to walk and have a slice of pizza. That's New York to me. But and LA's got some really serious pizza places now. Pisana, that's pretty good.
It's true.
Yeah, pretty
Have
good.
you ever been to Mulberry Street Pizza?
Yes, Mulberry Street
on Ventura.
Oh, there's one in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Owned
really
by
good.
Kathy Moriarty.
Kathy
That's right.
Moriarty, man, she knows her pizza.
Because you look around, you say, why are there all these pictures of Raging Bull on the walls?
Yeah,
and
right.
then you would find out, it's Kathy Moriarty owns it. So,
Okay.
Not to be confused with Sherlock Holmes's nemesis. Completely different.
but you can also conjure it up on the holodeck.
That's right.
That's hysterical.
But yeah, I see John's original pizza in the church in Times Square. That is awesome as well. But I'm glad that this pizza meets with your culinary.
Oh God, this is so good. Oh my God.
Didn't that used to be your nickname, Denise Grab and Walk Crosby? That's what I heard.
I
It
am
was
not
just
touching that line. It's way too early for this trash talk from you, okay?
She hadn't even had her pizza yet.
I know.
Speaking of which, what is the name of this place? Let's give them a shout out.
Oh my God.
Amici's.
Amici's East Coast
you go.
Pizzeria that happens to be settled in San Jose.
not to be confused with Don Amici.
So if anybody works at Amici's, next year we expect them to comp the pizza.
Right.
for
Oh,
this,
Amici's, we
promotional-
love you. Pizza for all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Amici's. Well done, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. And we may have a slice after the panel. We'll have to
Guys
see.
have to. I mean, there's a huge pizza.
No,
here.
that's all for you.
I mean, I could eat that whole thing, but it won't be pretty. It will not be pretty.
So, we've obviously we've done this panel a couple of times. We talked about a lot of interesting aspects of your career. One thing that we haven't spent a lot of time on, which is I think so interesting, is obviously you getting involved with the motion picture Trekkies with Roger Nygaard, and chronicling this world of Star Trek that is so unique and so unprecedented because, there's no Models Inc. conventions, as far as I know. So
Yet.
Yet.
when you came into this world that is Star Trek, and all these people wanted to interview you. I mean, this was back in, '87, and then you're getting calls to do all these conventions and cruises and things. What was your initial, and how has it evolved? Has your opinion of the fandom evolved since those early days? And then tell us how that led into the motion picture that you produced.
Wow, it's such a arc, such a journey. So, I had never been to a fan convention in 1987 when the show premiered. And I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I was told that, it was suggested that I go to, touch base with the fans, promote the show, have them get a chance to know the new cast members. Because remember when the show first came on, it was met with some,
Derision.
Some despair and
skepticism.
And skepticism.
And
That's
not
the word.
just from the original series actors.
Oh, no. There was a real groundswell of fan, mumblings. Of course, this is pre-internet and everything. So can you imagine if the internet or, social media was around back then, it would have, God knows, we would have overcome that. But we got word that, it was like, oh my God, what do you think you're doing? Blah, blah, blah. So it was sort of I was on like an ambassador for the show. So went out to, all the cons then were held in hotels, in small, ballrooms in local hotels. And I remember the first time I walked out on stage at a convention and the audience exploded. I was taken aback. I had the weirdest reaction that I wasn't expecting. It got very emotional. Like, wow, this wall of love and appreciation was there, and it took me by surprise. And I thought, God, don't cry, you idiot, up on stage. And I sort of had to gather my wits. So I began to get invited to these cons, and I began to talk to the fans, and I realized, that this whole other aspect was happening, not just fans loving the show and wanting to talk about episode 9 when the Bajoran comes in, and they were socializing and forming, charities and making friends and gathering in fellowship, like-minded people who were interested in science and technology and science fiction, and they were sharing this passion together. And so when I'd go back home to LA after going to one of these cons, I had friends that had never seen an episode of Star Trek, but were fascinated by the fact that I was going to cons. Like, what do they do? People dress up? They ask you questions? You sign autographs? Wow. And they were fascinated. And I thought, there's something here. What? I don't know. But there's something going on that isn't getting a fair, representation. It's very easy for, the media to go, oh, hey, folks, come on out to the convention center this weekend. There's a Star Trek convention. Get those pointy ears on. It was like so. And I thought I would see this on the news, and I would go, no, that's not what it is. There's other stuff going on, and it's the whys and the hows and what brings you here. And so Roger Nygaard and I, the director of Trekkies, I had acted in his very first feature, and we became friends. And I was having lunch with him one day, and I had come from a con, and I said, I just think there should be a documentary about this. And he said, oh my God, if I hear you say that one more time, let's make a documentary. And I said, us? We don't know how to make a documentary. He said, we're going to figure it out. And that's how it happened.
Yeah, and he's a marvelous cutter. He edited Seinfeld and now Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he's a great comedy editor.
Veep.
So that's why,
He did
and
Veep.
Veep, of course, yeah, which is brilliant. But it's why that film I think resonates. You talk about the perception of fandom. The local news. Yeah, we just beamed into the convention center, and boy, are we excited to meet all these Trekkies, and we got our ears on and all that. And I think that whole perception, that weird. The way, it sort of dates back, I think, to Shatner cementing it on Saturday Night Live, which is a brilliant skit.
Right.
I mean, it's funny, and but people take it literally. They think that's what Star Trek conventions are. So I think a lot of people who've never been to a Star Trek or sci-fi convention, that's their perception of what it is.
Right.
And clearly it's not. And you did a lot to sort of dispel that idea in the movie.
Thank you. I mean, look, that was our first that was at the forefront of making the documentary. We were not interested in making fun in any way, quite the opposite. So we were carefully talking to fans, asking questions. There was the wonderful Richard Arnold back in the day when we made it, who was Gene Roddenberry's assistant all through Star Trek. He was an archivist. He knew everything about Star Trek you could possibly want to know. And we constantly were running things by him, like, would this be acceptable? Is this the right thing to ask? What is this about? And he was very, very helpful in that way. And the whole point for us was to show that how much other stuff this is about than just dressing up like your favorite character.
Well, it seems to me that there are parallels in fans of sports teams. Absolutely. I mean, fans will go to the stadium dressed in the uniforms, painted, basically the same kinds of things that Star Trek fans dress up as. But they aren't treated like pariahs. That's the only difference.
Exactly,
and
of course.
It's a strange dynamic because 9 times out of 10, they actually think they are members of the team.
Right.
And I don't think anyone actually thinks that they are in space on the Enterprise. I think there's a big difference there. But one of the great things that I loved about Trekkies is that it coined the term Brent break.
Oh, yeah.
And I use it all the time.
Oh my God, that's great. Yes. When I'm feeling stressed and a little overwhelmed, I look out and I look at the Hollywood Hills and I know Brent's house is over there and I take a Brent break. And Roger and I I just like, please keep
rolling,
the camera
keep rolling,
rolling.
keep
Just
rolling.
keep rolling. And photo after photo after photo. I wonder where she is right now.
Yeah.
And how many more volumes of Brent photographs might be in her.
Did you have any reaction from Brent?
Then we went to Brent. We interviewed Brent after we had interviewed our young Brent fan. And I said, Brent, do you know there's a woman like right down that hill over in an apartment and she looks up at you. So why don't you wave? And he goes, oh really? I mean, he was so nonplussed about it and very, very nonchalant and in just the way he can be so beautifully. And he went, great, okay. A Brent break.
But then he immediately picked up the phone
and he
called
moved.
ADT.
He moved. He does not live there anymore, folks. So, yeah.
It's so funny to hear you talk about, I wonder what happened, because it makes me think of those wonderful documentaries that Michael Apted did, 18 Up, where it traced these people over the course of their lives, and many of them have passed away, including Michael, sadly, at this point. But they would revisit it every 12 years, I think it was. Have you wanted to maybe revisit? Because you created these nerd celebrities like Gabriel Corner, like he's everywhere, right? Because of this movie.
Gabriel texts me every so often, and so Gabriel is 14 in the movie when because I wanted to include a kid that in all of this, and I spotted him, and I just had a feeling about him, and he turned out to be just one of the best. Topics in the movie. He's just so animated and original. And of course, he goes on to work in the business. He is an effects, visual effects designer.
Visual effects artist, and I actually hired him on a couple of jobs.
There you go. So, same with Roger. Yeah. Roger hired him, because Roger has done other documentaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, and Gabriel's a trip, sometimes people have said, well, why are you focusing on these, eccentric type fans? But, you are making a movie, and you've got to have, you don't just want a droning, boring sound. And, when we discovered these interesting characters, we just had to, include them in the movie. The Barbara, who went to the trial.
Right. She worked at the Kinko's.
Yeah. No, Sir Speedy.
Oh, Sir Speedy.
Yeah, Sir Speedy.
Forgive me.
Speedy. Exactly. And went to the Whitewater trial in her Star Trek uniform. Now, she made headlines. And she just wanted to represent, you know, what the ideals of Star Trek mean. She had to be removed from the jury. They didn't want people dressed in, you know, costume coming
But
to the
again, they wouldn't have bumped out someone who was wearing a football jersey.
Right. I'm assuming you're probably right, yeah.
But now if you want to get off of jury duty, you know to wear a Star Trek costume.
That you guys do it, you know, unless it's a really good trial, and
Right.
you know, you might want to be part of it, but.
If you see Denise show up in her tunic from the show.
Yeah. I thought of this I was saying to somebody the other day, I said, you know, what if I, like, went to a Halloween party, like, with my Tasha Yar uniform on,
Right.
you know, and just, like, didn't say anything. Just walked in. Like, do you think anybody would say anything? Like,
Right.
what are you doing?
Probably.
What do you mean? I'm dressed as Tasha Yar. Yeah, but
That uniform isn't very accurate.
you played her. Yeah. Wait a minute. You played her. Isn't that weird? Why?
It's not weird.
I don't know.
people-
Something full circle, like meta about it.
People
you know?
dress
No
like
matter.
themselves every day. I mean, this is not a problem.
But now you have a scene for Trekkies 3. You show up at a party or a Halloween
Yeah.
party dressed as yourself.
Right, right. And like, don't say anything. You know, no, you know, just as if it's like, oh God, I don't know. Let's put the brakes on for a minute.
Obviously, then when you did the second one, it sort of focused on fans internationally.
Right.
And do you feel there is a tremendous difference between fans of the way Star Trek is feted domestically versus international? I'm kind of surprised how it's not that different.
Absolutely. I was just going to say the same. Because it's, you know, we're human. No matter if we're sitting in Australia or we're sitting in Brazil, you know, it's what appeals to us, what speaks to us, you know, what ideals resonate, and it really is a universal, and that's what we wanted to reflect, and look to see if there are any differences, but there really aren't.
But it's funny, the most intense and passionate fans I've known have been from Europe or South America. I think that there is maybe less of a stigma there than there is here.
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm trying to think. The most astounding moment I think I've had in fandom. I mean, you know, there've been some amazing stories, and you know that people have shared with me over these years. But when I was making Trekkies 2, we went to Serbia, and so in Serbia during the NATO bombings, they would smuggle in, you know, all television was down. They would have smuggled in VHS tapes of the Next Gen, and they would gather, you know, in a like bomb shelter basement. And this group of fans, you know, not a big group, but a group would meet and watch an episode of Star Trek. And they would go, we can survive this. The world will get better. We will get through this. So when I was able, the country opened up and people were able to go to Serbia, we went. And they had never had a Star Trek actor there before. So they put together a small little signing convention at the University of Novi Sad in Serbia. And I thought, wow. And I'm sitting there, got a couple pictures with me, and we're filming. And in walks this giant man, this big man, this farmer, and with like hands the size of a catcher's mitt, you know, rough and leathery. And in his broken English, he just comes down and he says, "You came."
You know, it's so interesting hearing you say this because, look, it's no secret, you've talked about this a lot. You've talked about it with us, you've talked about a lot of people, that your experience shooting Star Trek that first year was not all that satisfying because you weren't given a lot to do, and there were a lot of other reasons too with the scripts, and for a lot of people it wasn't that satisfying. But it seems as though your experience beyond the stage has been remarkable over all these years. You know, that knowing that that character resonates the way that she does. And I wonder if in Serbia, particularly at that time being a war-torn in the 90s, the fact that your character came from a place that was war-torn and she had overcome all these obstacles. You know, she had been orphaned and, you know, struggled to, you know, and made it into Starfleet and now lived a better life. You know, a lot of things that were subtextual and not really textual, but things that, you know, you wanted to explore in the show, maybe that resonated with them.
That's such a good point, and absolutely. That was what was so frustrating for me, partly because the groundwork was, the backstory was so compelling for Tasha Yar. You know, that's a hero's journey, you know, from someone and a woman, a young girl, to come from such darkness and violence and to be alone and make it through that. Not only to make it through that, but to thrive, to get into, you know, the Federation and rise to the top of her class. All on her own will and strength. That's a story you want to know about, you know? Girls want to know that story. Women want to know that that's possible. No matter what happens to you, you can overcome that. And, you know, I would say to the producers and the writers, well, we weren't allowed to really talk to the writers, but with the producers, I would say, guys, my God, you know, I read the backstory. I know about this character. Let me do something with this. And, well, you know, we'll get there. And, you know, it was just, that was so ultimately frustrating. But absolutely, the subtext of that is resonates with so many people.
It's so interesting because I think, in a way, that character was really ahead of its time. There'd been nobody really, I mean, obviously they based it a little bit on the character from Aliens, but that was the inspiration for the character, not that they based it on it. But, you know, other than Sigourney Weaver in Alien, there wasn't a strong, even on the show, I mean, there's Marina going, I feel great joy and gratitude, or I feel you have a headache, or whatever. But you were, you know, sort of really unique.
Well, we don't really know any of the backstories of any of these other characters, really. I don't know where, you know, I mean, we know Data was built, you know, whatever. But, I mean, I don't know where the character of Riker, you know, what his background is or stuff. I mean, but it's really, that was just such a missed opportunity to really explore this world.
And, you know, it's interesting because even with Skin of Evil, which is an episode you've talked about a lot, you know, Gene's initial idea, the idea of showing space is dangerous, sudden death, it could happen anytime, is interesting in theory, right? The idea that, oh my God, you know what, someone you love on a TV show suddenly can be taken like that. But from a dramatic point of view, from a character point of view, it's probably not the best way to explore that because, of course, you immediately, you know, realized that when you wanted to come back that you wanted a real heroic death, as opposed to this sort of idea that, oh, death can be sudden and anyone can be taken away from us at any time, which is great in theory, but not in execution.
Absolutely. As we see, I think it was really unfulfilling and kind of a letdown for most people.
But in retrospect, it was the best thing that could have happened to your character.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, I do hold a very unique place. And unintentionally, I mean, that, you know, there was no design when I left the show that I was ever going to come back. Or here we are 36 years later, having made 2 documentaries and, you know, created another character. And, you know, it's astounding. I couldn't have predicted that.
And here you are. And I know that there are probably a lot of people have questions. They want to know about if you enjoyed your pizza. They want to know all kinds of stuff. So if you want to line up over here at the microphone. Yeah, while they're lining up. I wanted to give you a little break to have a slice. So if you have questions, come over here to the microphone. I think there might be one over, and ask away.
Don't be afraid.
What do you think of
She's distracted by pizza right now.
pineapple pizza? Yay or nay? Good.
Hi.
It's an abomination against pizza, the Hawaiian pizza.
Hi, my name is Mars, and I'm a longtime fan, and I just want to thank you for everything. And you've just been such a powerhouse for me and other female-bodied people around here. And I want to ask you, what is your favorite pizza topping? Because I do a pizza Instagram, and I was just so knocked out. Yeah, it's no fake slices.
Great.
No fake slices. That's me, and I have video of you eating pizza, so I will.
Oh my
tag you.
God!
So
Oh my
please tell me
God!
what your favorite pizza
Oh.
is.
Well, they just brought me my favorite pizza, which is a margarita. Just a classic margarita. If I'm going to add anything to, it would be just garlic and black olives.
Garlic and black olives. Great.
Yeah.
That's a great topping.
Oh
Thank
my
you so much.
God! Thank you,
Thank you.
Mars.
Mars with a Z.
Oh, Mars! Wow!
Yeah.
Thank you, sweetheart.
And Star Trek has been such a big thing in my life. My dad was a producer of Star Trek 6, so I was just.
Stephen Charles Joffe?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Wow.
So I just have loved. I've been just a fan forever. So
My God!
Thank you.
I am honored to be part of your pizza.
thank you. Thank you.
And your dad did great work with no money. Man, Star Trek 6 is so much better than it has any right to be. He did a great job producing that film.
Thank you so much.
So
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah, hi, my name's Alex.
Alex,
Yeah.
how are I know what's coming.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, I'd like to say I think Tasha Yar is one of the more unsung Star Trek characters, and I think had she lived, I would say today, she'd be, big. I'd say, she kicked ass, before she, died.
I am big. I am big, Alex. Only the pictures got smaller.
Exactly, yeah. You know it. Yeah. Could you recall the Nirvana story again, please?
Okay, this is great. Alex came up to me yesterday. He had heard through the grapevine that there was a little Nirvana story and me floating around. So back in the what would that have been, early 90s?
Yeah, 92.
Yes, a good friend of mine, Edie Baskin, did all of the still photos. She has a coffee table book. She originated the photography, the still photos on the original Saturday Night Live and did it for a number of years. All those opening credits, and you see all that cast photos. My husband Ken and I were in New York, and she said, "You've got to come to a taping of SNL." And I've watched SNL since 1975. I'm a huge fan, and so we said, "Yeah, great." So we come to the taping, and we're in the wings. We're not even in the seats in the audience. We're just in the wings watching, and Nirvana is the musical guest. So. We're watching, and they're great. They kill it, their second song. There's one more sketch. The show ends, and we're all invited I'm invited to the after party. They always have an after party after the taping. So we make our way to the elevator, and I get in, and there is Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and some really young, hot chick. And there is Dave Grohl and his girlfriend, and Kurt Novoselic. How do you say his name?
Chris Novoselic.
Chris Novoselic and his girlfriend. So I'm going, and the door's shut in the elevator. I'm going, okay, don't say a word. Actually, close your eyes or look down. Do not say a word. Anything that comes out of my mouth right now is going to be ridiculously stupid. There's nothing I can do, nothing I can say. Close your eyes, look down. My husband has no clue as to who any of these people are. Having just even seen Nirvana, he still doesn't know who they are. So he's just, and he's just chilling and going down. We're looking at the elevator. I'm looking down. And all of a sudden, Chris looks at me. He goes, "I know who you are." you're fucking Tasha Yar. And I looked at him and I said, and you're fucking Nirvana. And we just started laughing and got to the bottom of the 30 Rock and walked out to the party. And it was like, oh man, okay, yes.
That's a great
Alex,
question.
thank you.
But did you go to the after party after the after party? Because Saturday Night Live is famous for like having after parties after the after party.
Oh yeah, no, I think my limit. I reached my limit. Yeah.
I'm excited about that Jason Reitman film about the beginnings of Saturday Night Live that's coming out this fall.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whoa.
Hi, my name is also Alex.
Alex to the square.
Yeah, my question is, having been chief of security, did you ever wonder or have any thoughts around the fact that the bad guys always keep their phasers on stun or a very low setting when they could probably have it on vaporize?
that the people
The bad
were,
guys, the other bad guys that you're fighting.
Oh. Well, no, I never really thought. I was more concerned. Man, you got to imagine going onto that show for the first time, and I'm handed, a phaser and a communicator badge, and sometimes this like tricorder thing, and it's like, what do I do with this? Okay, there were so many scenes where I pulled my phaser out and it dropped, or I pulled my phaser out and went. Bzzz. I went, oh God, I made a sound. No, we'll put that in afterwards, Or hitting the communicator, I would like go, like, oh my God. Michael Okuda, the designer, had to come, when I was working the Horseshoe, I was like pressing a bazillion buttons. And he goes, I think by then you'll only need to hit one button. And everything will fly. So it was a learning curve, So I'm sure I wasn't paying too much attention. But not everyone had phasers, though. Not all the bad guys we were fighting.
Yeah, but I always wonder, the fact that whenever you encounter one of these aliens with phaser technology, and that, they have different settings, right?
Yeah.
So how come when they invade the Enterprise, for example, they are not in there trying to respect life or anything, but conveniently, whenever they hit somebody, the setting was not vaporized.
Well, it was always, they couldn't just, they needed us. They couldn't destroy us. They needed us to work the ship, or they needed us, they needed concubines, or they needed, ransom, or there was something that, prevented them from completely destroying us.
They were warlike, but they weren't stupid.
Yeah. It was negotiable at that point,
Okay, thank you.
You're
Alex.
so funny.
Hi, I'm Ryan Garthok, and I'm a huge fan of the Trekkies movies. I really love them. I love the way they portray this fandom. And I was just curious, like our friend had kind of mentioned, have you guys considered going back, revisiting some of the people that you interviewed, or doing a third documentary?
Yeah, we have talked about doing a third one, and obviously going back to revisit all of our stars. Paramount owns Trekkies, well, the second one, not the first one anymore. So we have to it's been in such disarray, that studio, and really, they've just sold the studio. It hasn't come into effect yet. They're working out the details. Things have to settle a little bit. There's going to be new people.
No one knows if they're going to have a job on Monday.
I'm going to say, there's no one left at that studio who I even ever dealt with during all of the Trekkies negotiations. So we have to there's always a moment to strike, And if I can see that time, that moment, I will make a move. So I'm just waiting to see if I can make a move yet to do a third. But Roger and I are game.
Well, when the moment strikes, the fans are here for you.
Yeah, oh God, you guys, always.
Thank you.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Mitchell. TNG is by far my top personal favorite Star Trek show. And my question for you, Denise, is knowing that you didn't get a chance to explore Tasha's backstory, if they were to include an episode that explored that backstory, would you have wanted to write it, and how would you go about it?
Wow, I'm not a screenwriter, so I leave that to the experts. But I mean, there's certainly a lot there to talk about, and I certainly would have liked to have seen her leap from being a civilian, let's say, at what age she finally, like, how did she get into the academy?
Yes.
Like, what was that day, what's leading up to that? How did she prepare for that?
And how do you think that would have strained her dynamic with her sister?
Well, I mean, I would hope that, knowing Tasha, she would have, I would imagine, tried to seek her out, her sister, bring her on board.
Well,
Thank you.
whatever the case, never stop trekking, okay?
Yeah, you too.
And one more thing. I'm going to point it towards my comm badge. Can you hear that?
Awesome. Awesome. Live long and prosper.
Make it so.
We're almost out of time, so let's get through these last two questions. So,
Hi.
Hi.
I loved you as Tasha, but I really loved you as Sela, especially when you came back for Star Trek Online, the MMO game.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
But my main question actually is back to TNG. What was it like working with the legendary Spock himself?
I remember just, having this extraordinary moment with Brent. We were off in the sideline, and Brett looks at me and he goes, "Can you believe this? Spock." And I went, "Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird, huh? It's kind of cool." And Leonard was great. He was just very available. And, I remember when I went to, when I was shooting Trekkies, and I approached him, and he was so gracious. He opened up I spent hours with him, our crew at his offices in Beverly Hills. There was nothing off the table. We could talk about anything. He was just great.
Thank you very much.
And you.
Okay, you get the last question. Welcome.
This is not Star Trek related, so I'll be sorry to the crowd. So I'm just wondering, since Star Trek, I love like weird things like technobabble. I'm on season 7 of Suits right now. I hear in season 9, and the cuts are so fast, and like Harvey Specter has like a 30-second monologue. He just going. How is it working on Suits, and did any part of Star Trek like translate over to that experience?
Wow, what an interesting question. Good one. Yeah, you've got it. It's quick. It's fast. You've got to be sharp. Get those lines going. They're intelligent people, so you can't like going they just rattle stuff off. But that was a really embracing, open, warm reception I got from that cast. They were terrific, each and every one of them. And that was tough, walking onto a show that had long been established and had really been through a lot. I mean, they had a princess come out of it, for God's sake. And I was playing such a, badass coming in and breaking up that office. So I was like, I remember we would always have table reads. And, I had a particularly tough episode coming up where I'm just like nailing them and, telling them that like a bunch of dogs like barking all the time. And I said, guys, I this isn't really how I feel. And they said, bring it, girl, bring it, So they were very, very welcoming and made it easy for me.
Thank you so much.
thank you. And thank you to Denise. Now, as GalaxyCon tradition, they're going to take a group selfie. So Denise is going to be at the front of the stage. If you could all gather around her, they'll take a giant picture, and then you'll be at your booth. And you and a pizza.
I'm thinking, why would anybody watch this on YouTube? Like, why do they want to see us?
They want to feel closer.
I'm adorable.
Well,
There you go.
I'm sure you believe that.
You know, because I always thought for the longest time, why would we put these on YouTube? Because who cares? But actually, people are watching it, and people are watching on Spotify too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good, and the fact that we are able to provide that now is great, and it just opens it up for a deeper connection between us and our viewers.
Well, I'm so grateful that Brian Mix has been doing such a great job, and of course, Mark Rivera, as always. You know, it takes a village, and we're lucky we got such a great team. You know, behind the scenes that you don't that you don't see on the video, but they're back there and they're pulling the strings, pull the strings, pull the strings. They are. So, and they were enormously helpful in San Jose. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how helpful it was that Brian Mix and of course John Carney, and let's not forget that amazing Star Trek 5 display that we had as well. That was so wonderful that you know, he put that up for us. You know.
Oh yeah, man, that was a great touch.
And on the stage for our Star Trek 5 commentary with William Shatner, we had several mannequins with original costumes from the film behind us, and it was very nice.
Well, I felt bad because I said to Aaron Carlson, who was kind enough to come and set this all up, and I said, you know, I know it's a pain, but let's put this stuff on stage because I think Bill's really going to appreciate it. Let's have this stuff, you know, his costumes, and you know, we spent a lot of time figuring out what costumes should be on stage for the movie, and you know what things he was. And
Bill was so focused.
He did not.
He didn't even notice.
Didn't even notice his costumes were on stage, and of course we should have gotten pictures with him with the costumes, but we didn't.
We should have gotten any pictures at all.
Yeah,
but we didn't.
I know we got no pictures with Bill, and
but
I'm not a big
we got
picture
to be there.
guy. Yeah,
we got to do it.
That's
what we got.
Let's not talk about that anymore because we're just making people angry that they can't hear it themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Yet. They can't hear it yet. So I think at some point they will be able to hear it, but that remains to be seen. Anyway, I hope that people are going to join us in Columbus, Ohio, for this wonderful GalaxyCon, which wraps up the Inglorious Live Tour 2024. But the good news is Inglorious Live Tour 2025 is coming soon. And so are the Inglorious Treksperts holiday specials. So there's a lot of great Inglorious Treksperts goodness coming. And you can have it all by subscribing at trekspertsplus.com. That means bonus episodes, bonus Deck 78 a month before they drop, new episodes of the podcast available on video a week before they drop. It's just it's the Trekspert screening room in December. We're going to be looking at Star Trek: The Motion Picture, maybe even the Black Hole. I don't know. Lots of really great stuff happening. So if you want to be part of it, you want to be subscribed to Treksperts Plus, and you want to join us on our Discord channel, go to the link in the show notes for this very podcast and check it out. And if you have some thoughts on this or any other episode, you can email us at trekspertsplus@gmail.com or engage with us on any of the many social channels we're on. But the best way to reach us is through Discord, because that's like a little clubhouse. It's a clubhouse for Trek
It's
fans.
a clubhouse.
It's
a digital clubhouse for all of you.
And you can be in the club. Yeah.
Wait, that was the app where they had the audio and all that other stuff that we tried
Was
for a
it
while.
called
Remember the
Clubhouse?
Clubhouse app? It was called Clubhouse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We did Clubhouse a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a nice turnout for those Clubhouse conversations, but I don't think it ever really caught on. It burned brightly, but it never, for a short time. Because then Twitter just started doing the same thing.
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it was a good idea. It just was not. Yeah.
People don't need any more apps. That's for sure.
Yeah, we don't.
Really. And no more social and no more.
We need appless chaps.
Oh.
And on that note, on behalf of Ashley Edward Miller, DAREN DOCHTERMAN, and myself, Mark Ailman, and pizza delivery guy John Carney, keep on trekking, ingloriously, of course, and we'll see you right back here next Thursday and every Thursday for all new episodes of Inglorious Treksperts. Engage.